Welcome to my perfect 2024 NFL mock draft. It's definitely not perfect. We don't need to talk about that. In this video, I will take about 20 to 30 seconds on each pick, analyzing their selection and going through the team needs. Without further ado, let's get into this video, starting with the Chicago Bears at pick 1. The Bears currently hold the first overall pick because of Carolina's shenanigans, and it's all going to come down to the performance of Justin Fields for the rest of the year. I'm impressed enough to think they're going to keep Fields for next season, so it really comes down to one guy. That guy is Marvin Harrison Jr., wide receiver out of Ohio State. If they don't go quarterback, there's really no other option. It's clear that Mac Jones' time is up in New England, and with Bailey Zappi not being good enough, it's time for a new signal caller. It's going to come down to the Caleb Williams versus Drake May debate. Do they want the more raw prospect with phenomenal Hall of Fame upside, or do they want the safer, more efficient signal caller? I want to play it safe, but with the consensus selection. So Caleb Williams out of USC is the selection here for New England. I think Arizona at pick 3 has many options. It's going to depend on Kyler Murray, as do you want to take a different need and keep Murray and his huge contract, or do you want to trade Murray and opt in for a new franchise guy? Options are on the table, and it's going to depend on what Chicago does at pick 1. No picks are moved, but I think if Marvin Harrison Jr. goes number 1, Arizona goes quarterback. QB Drake May out of North Carolina is the selection here. Washington is a fun spot here, as with no need for a quarterback, options are pretty large for them. They need a lot of help in the pass game, but that might be due to the youth in the offense. Defense is a huge need given the step back they've had, but there's nobody as close to generational as the best guy on the O-line. Penn State offensive tackle Olu Fashanu comes off the board to Washington. The Bears are back on the clock with the 5th overall pick, and with them not going quarterback at pick 1, they don't need to focus on drafting offensive surroundings in this draft. It's a prove it or lose it year for Fields. With that being said, they gotta take a chance on a defensive player, and with their D-line being pretty awful, they need a new pass rusher. That's why I have Alabama edge Dallas Turner off the board at pick 5. The Aaron Rodgers-led New York Jets have a wide variety of options to go with at pick 6, but the fact that they have problems in the pass, run, and the O-line is just concerning. Rodgers comes back, presumably taking away the passing concern, but at this point, do you want to take a chance on Joe Alt instead of the interior line? It's an option, but I think they stray away from that and give Rodgers another playmaker in the offense. If I'm Joe Douglas, I'm taking Georgia tight end Brock Bowers at pick 6. Now here's a team that needs offensive line more than the Jets do. The Giants at pick 7 can look towards franchise quarterback, but honestly, I don't see them taking one. It's either stick with the guy you signed for a bunch of money or roll with DeVito. That leads basically every other position on the board. But I snuck in the beginning of this section that they need O-line desperately. And if they can get Evan Neal to play guard, they should take Notre Dame tackle Joe Alt at pick 7. Tennessee at pick 8 is pretty much locked to take an O-lineman or a D-lineman. There isn't really an O-lineman to take at this position, especially when they need interior more than tackle. So we look at their 3-4 scheme and determine the edge rusher they need. Latu is more of a physical 4-3 rusher, and he struggles athletically. Since Florida State edge Jared Verse is more athletic, the Titans will go with him at pick 8. New Orleans comes in at pick 9, and I weighed a bunch of options for them. They really struggle with the O-line this year, so I thought tackle to replace Penning. Despite that, I went somewhere else. I looked at both linebacker and safety, but there's nobody really worth taking at pick 9 there, so I went somewhere else. I eventually landed on giving Carr another weapon, that one being LSU wideout Malik Neighbors, who finds his way into the top 10. Rounding out the top 10, Tampa Bay can really roll with anyone in the run game here, offense or defense. They have had struggles blocking for White, and they have had struggles defending the run as well. But I want to be a little more fun. Let's improve the run game, but at the same time, let's replace Baker Mayfield. That fix for that is a running quarterback, giving me an excuse to give Tampa Bay LSU quarterback Jaden Daniels. We pick up with one of my favorite trade-up candidates with Las Vegas at pick 11. Here's where the insanity starts. It's going to be interesting to see how Vegas assesses the quarterback situation this offseason. Do they roll with Jimmy G still, even though it seemed as if he was a mentor type guy? Do you roll with Aiden O'Connell and take a chance on the late round kid? Or do you roll with my selection in this mock? Washington quarterback Michael Penix Jr. We will see by the time draft season rolls around. The Chargers have such a lingering gap in the defensive line, which is why I was confused why they moved Tuli Tuipulotu outside, but it kind of makes sense now. He's pretty good there. The gap is still present on the inside though. Sure, they have needs at tight end, offensive line, linebacker, cornerback, but how can you pass up on Illinois defensive tackle Jerzon Newton when he's sitting right there? The Bills being this low is a cheat code, and you'll understand why in a second. The shocking 6-6 Bills make this draft fun, and with no huge gaps anywhere on the roster, they'll just add on to an already good position. I do have one PSA though. I think it's time to give up Tre'Davious White being a starting cornerback on this team. That's why the falling Kool-Aid McKinstry finally finds his way to pick 13 on this list. The Denver Broncos come in at pick 14. They've struggled in the run this season, and I think that's where they can somewhat address that. Taking UCLA edge rusher Laiatu Latu with this pick gives the Broncos a nice option off the edge, who can both take it physically in the pass rush or move inside to defend the run at an efficient level. Seattle at pick 15 was a very tough one for me. I weighed several defensive options, specifically D-line and corner, and then I also weighed offensive options like tight end and interior O-line. I ultimately went with the guy who can switch positions and still be as effective in the league as they were in college. That player is Alabama offensive tackle J.C. Latham, who I believe they would move inside given his huge frame. The LA Rams at pick 16 is an intriguing one, as they have a lot of slight positional needs with really having only one huge hole at the linebacker position. Yet there's no one worth taking this high at that position. So I narrowed it down to corner, where because of the aggressive nature of the Raheem Morris defense, Clemson corner Nate Wiggins comes off the board over Cooper DeJean, who was my other option. Because the Rams took Nate Wiggins at pick 16, I think the Bengals at pick 17 settle for the other contemplated corner and take Cooper DeJean at pick 17. Anyways, since he has some coverage issues, and while safety is a bigger positional need than corner, it's worth taking the versatile DeJean over a pure safety. This pick seems pretty bad honestly, but this is where Arizona will likely trade down. They're in crucial need of several defenders, but I don't think there's one worth taking this high of the options I have. Maybe Kalen King here, but I think I have a better option. Surround your new franchise quarterback with a pure wide receiver one that you don't have, and take Florida State's Keon Coleman with this pick, the elite red zone threat himself. I think Atlanta winning their division is the worst thing they can do, especially when they need a new quarterback. Honestly, Ritter's not going to cut it, and Heineke is not a viable starting option in any scenario. I called this at the beginning of the year, and it's finally time for that franchise option. Luckily, one of them falls to Atlanta. Michigan signal caller J.J. McCarthy gets drafted to Atlanta at pick 19. Green Bay rounds out the top 20 with a kind of obvious pick. They have needs at guard and interior line, but with them trading Rasul Douglas and Keyshawn Nixon not being a starting caliber coverage corner, they should be looking to find a new guy to pair up with Douglas on the outside. The best available corner is Kalen King, so they take the Penn State product with the 20th pick. At pick 21, we have a Minnesota team that's heavily struggled in the pass rush efficiency this season outside of Danielle Hunter. Despite that, they just recently paid Marcus Davenport a lot of money, and DJ Wanham is just starting to find his groove. With that being said, their answer is going to have to be on the inside, and I think Leonard Taylor III out of Miami is a good answer to their problems. The Colts' offense is shocking people this season, yet they still have lingering offensive issues. The run game just lost Jonathan Taylor with his questions, and the pass game won't survive with Gardner Minshew at quarterback. With Anthony Richardson returning to signal caller for the 2024 season, I think it's time to surround that quarterback with another great option in the pass game. Line up Michael Pittman Jr., Josh Downs, and my draft pick, Washington wideout Rome Odunze. I also factored in the likeliness of Pittman departing in free agency into this selection. The Steelers really only have one problem, and that's the pass game. Whether it be signal caller himself or the blocking provided for him, it really needs help. Obviously, the Steelers won't draft a Pickett replacement just yet, and I did contemplate receiver for a while, but I fell on the same guy that consensus did. Oregon State tackle Talise Fuaga goes off the board at pick 23. Here's another team that also needs an offensive lineman. CJ Stroud has exploded this season, and the Houston defense has a great mix of young talent and veteran players. D-line and safety are two options I explored, but I strongly believe that this team needs to spend capital into protecting their now franchise quarterback. For that reason, Georgia right tackle Amarius Mims comes off the board here. There's concern in Kansas City with them currently being 8-4. They aren't as dominant as they normally have been. Yet, there are huge wide receiver differences and mistakes between them being 8-4 compared to a possible 11-1. So they go the wide receiver route and take on a deep threat in this class. Ohio State's Emeka Egbuka comes off the board at pick 25 to the Chiefs. When I looked into Jacksonville's major problems this season, I ran into one thing. For positional problems, I found that both tackle and interior O-line are the only offensive gaps here. Especially after the Trevor Lawrence injury, they 100% need to look into the route of O-line. They have two tackles in Cam Robinson and Anton Harrison, so they take a swing O-lineman who can play both outside and inside. That is Duke's Graham Barton. We're starting to get to the spot of reaches for positional needs, and I think that starts with Dallas. They really only need linebacker and safety, and with safety having better player value here than linebacker, they go that route. I don't think Miami's Cameron Kinchins is worth a first-round tag, but they still take him at this spot nonetheless. Detroit goes the opposite route of Dallas and grabs a steal at this position. Positional needs made Detroit lucky here, so they go with edge rusher. Obviously, Aiden Hutchinson is a beast, but Charles Harris is not playing as good as I expected, and they could use another top-tier pass rusher to intimidate opposing blockers. Obviously, I am talking about Penn State's Chop Robinson at this pick, and he goes off the board at 28 to Detroit. Now we are on to the conference championship losers, and we start with San Francisco at 29. Obviously, another team with minimal needs. I see a majority of those on the O-line and at D-back. I think if you are able to grab an O-lineman here, I would do it, but I don't see anyone being valuable enough to go this high. So they hold off on that and opt in for Ohio State cornerback Denzel Burke at pick 29. Baltimore has no major problems and they are playing out of their minds this season. It's either a reach for an interior lineman here or they go the wide receiver route. I have Baltimore being a huge trade down candidate, but with no trades in this mock, they go with the speedy downfield threat for Lamar Jackson. I'm giving the Ravens Texas wide receiver Xavier Worthy at pick 30. The Super Bowl runner-up is Miami according to Tankathon, so they come in here with several options. Positional-wise, I noted tight end, interior line, and linebacker for this team, making them huge trade down candidates. Nonetheless, I think they pick up one of two Clemson linebackers with this pick, and I sadly have to spoil my next video to say the better of the two. I have my top 10 linebacker rankings according to consensus coming out this Friday, so Miami fans, subscribe if you're interested. The better Clemson product for this mock is Jeremiah Trotter Jr., who they select with pick 31. Here we are. The final pick in this 2024 NFL mock draft. Philly is a team that could probably use linebacker and corner more than anything else, but I thought the same about the Seahawks in the 23 draft. If they want to capitalize on offensive success, they take the same route and stack up a third great wide receiver to go alongside Brown and Smitty. That wideout to me is big-bodied Xavier Legette out of South Carolina. Who did your favorite team draft in this video? Let me know in the comments below. Well, that's all I got for you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. I have a lot of NFL draft content and college football content coming out in the next few months. If you're not subscribed, you're missing out. Once again, I'm Chase Keller from Chase Keller Journalism, and thank you guys so much for choosing this channel as your source of sports coverage. I'll see you guys in the next video.